is when it all started. And then it ramped up from there. People, were not allowed to travel outside of Canada. When they came in, there was self-isolation. So for the next week and a half, the government was still every day changing, tightening up, etc. And to the point where after March break, they said, it's mandatory self-isolation. And then it got a little bit more real for everyone. They closed down everything, of course. And so now that was it. Now, the end of March still had some residual effects because people who had purchased had to sell and people who had sold have to buy. So there was that kind of filtering out. But then, by the last week of March, we noticed a definite drop in what was going on because essentially everything but non-essential services was shut down, right? So that's what we noticed. And I think that was across the board. How do we react to that? Well, when this happens, this is very, I think, important to realize how the consumer, the public is looking at it, right? I mean, yes, we are an essential service in terms of real estate, but we also deal in one of the most important and largest assets that every family has is their home, right? So what have we done? Well, what we've done is simply reached out to our clients, to our family, to our friends, to our leads, or and said, hey, not trying to sell real estate. How you doing? What's going on? How you feeling? How's the family? How's the job situation? What are you doing right now? Are you managing to handle, the stresses of being at home, and not working? So it's coming from a position of truly caring and trying to see if there's anything you can do to help people in this time. It's not about selling, do you want to sell your house? It's not that same call that you're making. But if you're out there reaching out to people and truly care how they are, that's how you set yourself up for when things get back to normal, that they'll reach out to you because you've reached out to them in their time of need.
So did you proactively go out there and contact every single one of your active clients and just let them know?
Well, we're trying to do that. Of course, it's an ongoing process and continuing to keep in touch because every person has a different situation. And when you care about someone and you have someone that that has a certain issue, you talk to them. How's it going? What's happening? People have family members who are affected by this. How are they feeling? They can't see them sometimes in the hospital or if they're in long-term care. I mean, these are things that are very stressful to people. It's not about real estate right now. It's important, but it's not about going out there and trying to hustle and get a listing. It's about talking to people, letting them know that you care, and of course, hopefully sharing some of the wisdom that you may have about the market. Because as you mentioned before, we have access to information that the general public does not. And so if we can share some of those insights, maybe calm them down. For example, the sky is not falling. Prices have not gone down. Yes, sales have gone down, but prices have not. For the most part, this morning's report, 1.5% is what they estimated it will come down to. But I mean, realistically, that's even flawed because the homes that have not sold the most are the high-end homes. So the percentage or the price points are lower that have sold, and maybe the ratio of average sale price is lower because of that.
So did you have a collection of clients that were either in the situation that you just described, they had sold without buying, or they had bought without selling?
Absolutely.
And how did they react to it?
You just kept going. I mean, there were still buyers out there. What happened was slowly, people who didn't have to make a move didn't. And only people who did have to. So you had less homes for sale and less buyers, but the ratio was still pretty good. So, we got everybody, settled into the situation and we resolved it. I mean, right now, to be honest with you, if someone says, well, I haven't made a move yet, should I make a move? No, right? Looking at the situation, if they don't have to do it, maybe now's the right time. I wouldn't do it because it's not just for the sale or the quantity of buyers and sellers, but it's also, we haven't still fully understood what the protocol is to be safe. I mean, we're trying, but if we can, use the information that we've obtained from all over the world, in Europe, which is ahead of us, and see what works to maintain the safety of families, then we can do it. We have gloves, we have masks, we have sanitizer, but still, once the public knows, hey, this is how you could proceed and live your life with the coronavirus situation there, because they're saying this could take 1.5 years, 2 years to possibly find a vaccine. And once everyone has immunity, or either through building up antibodies or getting a vaccine, then we'll get to the old normal. There's just going to be, in my opinion, a new normal.
Right, right. So let's flip it a little bit now that we've been in this situation for weeks now. I just wanted to update everybody that's on the. We got 52 people on the call right now. We just found out yesterday from our head office that month to date, we've done 157 transactions company-wide, which is approximately 50% of what we are normally at this time of year, which I don't think it's the doom and gloom that people predicted. I will say also this, Frank, your team is continuing to submit deals. So how are you doing this right now in this environment?
There are people who still need to make moves. I mean, we're working within the protocols of, self-isolation and distancing and, sanitizing. But I mean, there's people out there who need to make a move. And so we're there to help those people. We're not telling people to do it if they don't have to, but if they have to, we're there for them.
Have you guys discussed with your team, anything in particular, any precautionary measures that you've taken with them in order to stay safe while they're doing these transactions?
Absolutely. I mean, most of the showings start off on a virtual level. They're looking at listings and pictures. I mean, people are not going out randomly to look at homes that don't meet their needs. So, I mean, there's a lot less showings. There's a lot less tire kicking. There's more people who say, well, this home looks good, and then they'll want to see it. We employ that clause, conditional on seeing the property afterwards if somebody wants to do that. So we go within people's comfort level. But that being said, from a listing perspective, we tell our clients, look, when you have a showing, turn all the lights on, don't leave doors open, don't leave anything. We're not going to touch anything. We go in, don't touch light switches, don't touch door handles, walk through the property, leave, and that's it. Show up with, masks, with gloves. If we sit down with someone, we'll sanitize the area beforehand. We'll sanitize it after we leave. We want to make them feel as comfortable as possible.
Have you had any pushback from agents on your listings when you've requested them to follow your procedures?
There's no pushback. Everyone understands. I mean, either they do it or they don't see it. There's no problem. There's no pushback.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, Frank, you're doing it. You and your team, you're submitting deals, and I think do you have a suggestion to tell the group here as to I think there's a lot of fear out there. Like, how do you dispel fear?
Well, I think one of the biggest things I can share with everyone that would help is simply that you're not at home. You're working from home. All right, so that's the key point. You should get up in the morning at the same time, and you should schedule to do some things. Now, you can only do what you can do, but once again, reach out. Look at this great medium over here, Zoom. Talk to people. Everybody everybody you've talked to, your past clients, your current clients, your friends, your family. Now, look, not everyone's going to make a move, but in this time of insecurity, people need to know what's going on. And if you can provide them with some insights, some help, some knowledge, some confidence, talking about what's going on, because everybody's watching the news, and the news is devastating every day. They're talking about death. They're talking about sickness. We have some success stories. I had one client who was wanting to go to be close to family in BC, right? And after talking to them, they weren't working. Both of them weren't working. So they were waiting. I said, what are you waiting for? As well, we haven't sold our property. I go, well, look, if that's your issue, you should still move. You're moving in with family, so there's no cost. The cost of maintaining the property would be the same, whether you're here or you're there. We can sell your property. We can do everything, via electronic signatures. We can get it sold, and that's it. You don't have to worry about your home. There's no issues. You can still make the move ahead of time and not have to wait till this all ends because they wanted to get their kids close to the grandparents. Interesting story, right?
Right.
Nothing would have changed. Well, so it turned out, we listed the property and we sold it in 2 days. I mean, they didn't before they even left. But I mean, you offer solutions to their problem, but it's not for everyone. We've told people, don't make a move. I'm thinking about making a move now. You have to? No, then don't. Why put them in a situation where they've sold without buying or buying without sold, and make stress, and then also having people come in your home? mean, these are all important things. It's not about us, it's about the client. And if you constantly look at it from their perspective, you will give honest advice. It's not about making money, it's about helping people get through this. And if you do that and you're sincere and they see that, they will trust you and they will work with you.
Let's talk about your team a little bit. Everyone keeps talking about how we can take this time off and start working on some of the skills that we need in real estate.
No time off, Charles. That's the mistake. This is not time off. You know, where's the time off? You're working. I mean, if you're not working on bettering yourself by learning, improving your skills, staying sharp even, if you're not talking to people, and when you talk to people, really the best way I can say, we're all swimming in the same pool. The same questions pop up, the same concerns pop up. So by talking to so many people, you get sharper, you get better, you improve your skills. And so when the time comes where the doors open, you're able to also make sure that you are fresh and able to handle the business that you've, essentially it's like a farmer. If you don't plant the seeds, you don't water the garden, what's going to happen afterwards? There's no harvest.
Right.
So we're working from home. We're not at home. We're not locked up at home. We're just safe at home, but we're working from home.
Frank, there's one thing that I did notice. You have not scaled back at all on your advertising and your exposure out in the marketplace. Have you found that to be beneficial?
Well, we're out there, out of sight, out of mind, right? So, what we do here is we're here to help people. We've changed our message a little bit and trying to just provide the necessary information to make people feel comfortable. And this is a very difficult time. Unfortunately, I've been doing this for a long time. I started when I had, dark hair. I was the youngest person at Remax West when I started. So I just want to share that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, transitioning, actually during the leadership meeting we had with the managers yesterday, on a positive note, we are starting to make some plans to slowly, as the government allows, to reopen our branches a little bit wider, make them a little bit more accessible to the agents. Would you find that to be more beneficial in this environment that we've stayed open, we're providing the branch level services to the agent? Do you think your team would benefit from that?
Listen, let's not make excuses. If the branch being open and answering calls and being able to accept checks, that's fantastic. This is a people business. If you're not connecting with people, then you're not doing your job. And you don't have to say, well, I don't know enough people. That's nonsense. Everyone has a circle of family, friends, and clients, past clients, current clients, people they've talked to. Just reach out. And the most amazing thing for those people who have done this is that people are very receptive to your calls. They're not answering them anymore. They have a little bit more time to talk. And if you provide some value for these people, then they'll be much appreciating that. But the key to doing that is being sharp. So you have to constantly being informed, understand what's going on, understand what information you're able to share with them, but you have to first of all fill your knowledge base before you can share that.
Are you finding that even your virtual appointments, your listing appointments, have declined in the last few weeks substantially, or are you still getting the same amount of traffic?
No, everything is slowed down. I mean, let's put this in reality. What slowed down is the amount of appointments because people are not there. But what hasn't slowed down is the amount of conversations we're having with people, the questions, the interest. So we are advising people, some people, not to do anything right now, because I wouldn't want to do it if it didn't make sense for me. And as I mentioned to you, there are situations where it does make sense. And so you have to be sincere. This is not about making a deal today. It's about helping a family make the best possible decision for themselves in this market.
Awesome. And moving from this current situation, let's say miraculously we're mid to late May, and these restrictions on that the government's imposed have been relaxed. Where do you see the market going when those restrictions start to get relaxed?
My observation here is I don't think anything has happened to the market for the most part. What I look at it is, when you have your PVR, you put it on pause. Well, what's happened? I mean, nothing has happened. It's just that we're delayed. So there's buyers out there, there's sellers out there. Now, the longer it goes, there will be an effect. Okay, the effect is what's happening to businesses, what's happening to jobs. So some people will be affected, but there's also other things that have come into play. I mean, this self-isolation has helped us realize a few things. One, what is important in life. So everyone here, when you're at home, you realize what's most important. Number two, having a safety net or a reserve to buffer yourself in case of unforeseen obstacles. I mean, so people may not be spending the same way after they come out of this, right? They're going to save a little bit more. For example, those people who live in those little condos, right? How is self-isolation going there? Being in a tight spot, not having maybe a balcony even, not having the space, being, in going the elevators, which is tight, and distancing is very hard. I mean, maybe they may want to say, you know what, I don't want a condo, I want a home, I want a backyard. So the needs may have shifted. There's a lot of things that are going to go on. So we can't really predict all the changes. But what we do know is this: you need a home to self-isolate in. So that's why we're important. And then we have to find out what kind of home. Some people will want to go into something bigger. Some people may need to sell because their job situation has changed. So we have to be there for them for all situations. But you have to be receptive and caring about their personal situation, not about yours.
Do you deal with any investment clients that are in the market purely on an investment level? Do you find that these people have receded, or are they becoming more active from your perspective?
Both. So there's some that have receded and some of them have become more active. Some people think it's an opportunity to take advantage of someone who has to sell, and some people have backed off and say, I don't want to take a chance right now. If I'm not mistaken, the banks have also tightened their belts and made it a little bit harder. I mean, can they say, can you give me a record of employment or your job letter, and you're not working? I mean, how does that work for confidence with the banks?
Yeah, you're right. Does your team deal a lot with pre-construction at all? Carol's got a question on your thoughts on the future of pre-construction.
We don't focus on it. I mean, my thing with pre-construction is that, I mean, everyone loves it because, hey, it's brand new, it's shiny, and it sparkles. But, pre-construction is based on certain calculations or assertions or hopefulness that the market will increase by X amount in the next year or two, or whatever, by the time it's built. So they already have incorporated those 5-10% increases in property values today. So for me, as an investor, I'm saying, why would I pay that increase today when I can buy that property for 15-20% less per square foot and see what I'm getting with my money? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me, especially since we were riding a 22-year high.
That's true.
Sorry, Carol, if that's something that, it's easy, to say that, but I mean, pre-construction, I think that there's a chance that people can get hurt.
I agree with you there, and the fact that there in the last little while, anyways, there's been a couple of pre-construction companies that have gone bankrupt or gone into bankruptcy protection. That speaks to that. I think we all have to kind of proceed with caution and the advice that we give our clients. So
what about those projects that were sold out and then they stopped building because of the financing, or they thought that the property values went up too much and they decided to shut it down and then resell it down the road, and another reincarnation, right?
That's around the corner from you, isn't it?
Well, that's everywhere, man. It's happened. But the bottom line is, pre-construction is great. It's nice. People think they can save up money, and they're doing that. But if you look at the dollar per square foot, is it a good deal or not? I mean, if the market goes up higher than the projected increases, that's fine. But if it doesn't, then you're in a situation where, from a banking perspective, they may not even give you the money unless they even pre-approve with the actual on-site lender.
Yeah. So, Frank, from your perspective, what would you like to what are your greatest challenges right now that you'd like to see improved upon? And do you have any suggestions on what you'd like to see happen in the next little while? Any changes?
From where?
Well, from what we're doing right now. So let's say, going back into the, we're trying to get geared back up. We're trying to anticipate this pent up demand of real estate that's going to occur once this pandemic has ended or subsided at least. What would you like to see going forward change?
Well, first of all, everyone out there who's in the business, if you're not, getting to work every day at the same time, I mean, not just work, I mean, even your health and taking care of your family, but work, you're working from home. You're not on holidays. You're not, laid off. You're working. And if you're not working, then ask yourself, why not? You know, I mean, I was working all day. I finished at 6 o'clock yesterday in the morning. There's stuff going on. If you want to do it, there's stuff to do. You can read a book, you can learn, but listen, the bottom line of this business is people, okay? And if you're not you're saying, well, they may not want to sell. It doesn't matter whether they need to sell or not. If I talk to you, Charles, and we discuss what's going on, because you're a homeowner and everyone's a homeowner, and we discuss what's happening, what couldn't happen, and how to proceed and what the real estate, because everyone wants to know. Can we agree on that? Whether you're selling or not, or thinking of selling, everyone wants to know about my investment. How is that going to be handled? Okay. So now if I gain your trust and confidence and we talk, 3, 4, 5 times over this period, and then we become very much closer, and you have no interest in selling, right? Great. But someone's going to say to you, Charles, I'm thinking about making a move after all this. You know what? I've been talking to so-and-so. They're great. They've been telling me all this stuff. You should talk to them. That's what's going to happen. Is that a referral? Don't people want referrals? Well, what are the odds of getting a referral if you're just sleeping and watching TV? If you're not doing anything, expect that in return. You have to get out there and say, I'm going to put 3, 4, 5 hours up in there. And when you start a conversation on this topic, it's not 2 minutes. It's 5, it's 10. And if you listen to people, they have a lot of questions. They have a lot of concerns. And you can help them with that.
I definitely think that holds true, regardless of what stage you're at, or pandemic or not. I think people's habits of I think people use this as an excuse not to work, which is almost pitiful.
A lot of past clients that you've dealt with, a lot of people that you know more people than you think. You're too busy to contact them, and now you feel a bit awkward. Well, you know what? Call. What do you lose? Talk to them. If you're not working, then don't expect anything after this is done.
Do you find that this has changed our business with what's just happened? Do you see any benefit from what this is? I think a lot more people are more technically savvy now than they were prior to this, with all of the, these at-home meetings and video conferencing and whatnot. Do you see any other benefits that this has caused?
There's one thing that's constant in real estate. It's change. I always joke around, Mike could maybe, relay this. When we started this business, we were preparing offers with a hammer and chisel on stone, because that's the process. We had no computers. We had, it was a different time. And so, this is going to change everything, and it's going to continue to change. And if you don't accept change, I think you look for another career. But then again, everywhere is going to change. Technology has changed everything. So we don't have to have the office open. The office is your phone. The office is your computer. The office is you. If you're not working, look in the mirror, talk to the boss and say, why am I not working? Why, and then you say, what's not happening? If you're not investing in yourself and getting better and learning new techniques, or learning what's going on, or learning what's happening, or learning what to share with your clients, what are you doing? This is not time off. This is a job. Yes, you have a different office, but if you're not investing time, and the biggest thing about realtors is, I make it, this is a serious analogy, all right? So let's forget about now, but even before, when everything was quote unquote normal, if an agent had a showing at 7 o'clock in the evening, they would call in the morning, make the appointment for 7 o'clock, worry about it from 9 o'clock to 7 o'clock, and then say, I worked a whole day, right? Because they were worrying about that appointment all day. They only worked 10 minutes, but they thought they worked the whole day. You have to do different things. Set a task, set what you want to do, set a goal every day that you're going to do this many calls, or you're going to do this many push-ups, or you're going to do whatever. Make some small goals, small victories, and do that every day and move forward. Stop using it as an excuse. It is a little bit of a pause, but people out there need a home, and they will continue to need a home. It's not an option, and that's why we're in real estate.
Right. There's a couple of questions here, Frank. I don't know if you can give your perspective on it. The first one has to do with power of sales. Have you been approached by anybody or any financial institutions? Do you do power of sales very often?
I mean, this is a very big concern that's going on out there in terms of what can happen. I don't think there's any power of sales right now because there's a 6-month freeze on mortgages. So it's residential. If it's an investment property, that's a different story. But tenants can't be evicted. I mean, that's a big concern because if you're selling a property that's tenanted, you can't provide vacant possession. There's a lot of issues that affect real estate. But power of sales, you know, I don't think our market's dropping out. I think if you look back, how many, it was ramping up. We were going, you know, looking at the market the way it was supposed to be a record market. You know, prices were supposed to go up this year. It was going to be incredible. We had multiple offers on essentially every property. Now, all those buyers that didn't get those properties, if you had 20 offers, 19 people are still out there looking for homes. There's still potential. So I don't think the market has dropped out. I just think that people are not out at home. And,
Yeah.
you know, our product, our homes are now more important. I heard one joke. What about those people who have those nice open concept homes? Maybe they might want to change that with self-isolation. They have no privacy, right?
It's too open concept now.
That's it.
But Frank, yeah, I agree with you. Like this whole, this whole group of people that's out there that thinks that there's going to be power sales and a 50% drop in the market and all this nonsense. All I can tell you is we had a Zoom meeting yesterday, and we had 50 agents on, and about 7 of them this weekend all had multiple offers, and all 7 said that they all sold over list price, and that they feel the momentum starting to come back. Now, they did it with new technology, e-signatures, safe distancing. They worked it properly, but this whole notion that it's going to drop 50, we would have seen the drop of 50. And I don't think it's out there, and I agree with you. I think you just got to get back out, sharpen your skills, work on a CRM, work on a new listing presentation, continue your marketing, but COVID sensitive, and just get back out there and help people. Because we are an essential service. So you're right on there. And I agree with you, these power of sales, like they don't exist. So I haven't seen them.
I think we, in economics, we use the term ceteris paribus, all things being equal. Now, if this happened without the support of the government, then yes, we would be in big trouble. The most important factor here is the government is intent on not letting this happen, right? I've never, in history, seen the amount of money just spent like crazy. And so, they're boosting everybody's income. They're deferrals of the banks. They're pushing industries to payroll supplementation. There's so many things that you're doing. And so the one thing that has become obvious is very interesting. I mean, we hear in the US that Trump has promised, I think now about $4.5 trillion to help the US market, right? Just to prop it. Now, I don't think our economy makes that much money in a year, but you can look it up, you can Google it. What is 1 trillion? If we look at 1 trillion seconds, okay? 1 trillion seconds. Do you know how many seconds that is? How many days, weeks, months, years that is? That's almost 33,000 years if we count seconds, right? So we're talking about an amount of money that is mind-boggling, and we're spending billions like nothing. Now, when the government is intent on saving our economy, now there is no gold standard anymore. Like in the 70s, we had gold. For every dollar, there was some gold somewhere to back it up. We have something called currency. It's not money anymore. And currency is this. It's the promise that the government will back it up, which means that there's unlimited money. If the government has a blank check to prop us up, we're not going down. We're not going to see this dip because they're going to throw in as much money as they need to keep it going. Every time you see there's a problem, another 35 billion, another 20, I don't know where it's coming from, but they just throw billions like nothing. Another ice cream for you. That's it. And so basically, we're going to be fine. Now, our grandkids might have a problem, but we're going to be fine.
Well, we learned this back in economics that if you're just printing money, you're devaluing your currency. And so do you think the strength of the Canadian dollar will be impacted by this decision?
That's the common theory, but it hasn't happened right now. I mean, gold, oil was at a negative $37 a barrel just yesterday. Interest rates are essentially at zero. It's 0.25%. I mean, everything here is the maximum stimulus. At some point, it might be, but the whole thing is this: the government doesn't want it to happen. So for it to happen, we have to collapse. So do you think that the consumer confidence is at zero or negative zero? Or do you think when this opens up, people are going to go back to normal? I mean, that's the ultimate test here. If people are going to go back to normal as long as they're working, we're fine.
Yeah, and I agree with Frank. You're going to get a lot of people that are really super analytical that are going to look at numbers and say, well, they're printing out all this money. Eventually, it's going to have to collapse. Well, you know what? We've been through probably 5-6 recessions since 1987, 86. And they've all managed to recover, and they must know something. When the whole world is doing this, that means the top brains of the world for economics and everything else have gotten together, and then they understand the severity of it, and they'll work it away. Eventually, you'll see in 3 to 5 years, yeah, of course, our taxes are going to go up, but that's just the cost of doing business.
So Frank, any final words? I'm going to actually jump into Maury. Maury's made a request to give a small mortgage presentation. Maury, I see you there. I can unmute your microphone. Can you hang around for that, or did you want to wrap it up?
I'll see how I say. But is there any of the questions? I mean, all I can say to everyone is, you're not locked up at home. You're safe at home, and you're working from home. If you have to go out, you still can go out because we're an essential service. Be safe, work within the protocols that are there. But if you're not doing anything, if you're not planting any seeds, if you're not circulating, if you're not trying to get in contact with people who they're moving, or they're thinking of moving, or they know someone's going to move, you're not doing that, then you're doing a disservice to your business. So you should talk to your boss. Go in the mirror and talk to your boss and make sure that you know that you should.
Yeah, you look in the mirror. That's true.
Let me ask you one question before you step up. So from what I heard through all this, Frank, is that you're still working, but in a positive way and COVID sensitive, and you are still continuing to run your business, but in a sensitive way. Like as far as COVID, you're still marketing, you're still out there helping people find shelter, you're still out there presenting offers, but in I guess like electronically, or how you're going to do it, but you haven't shut it off. And so that's what I've taken from this whole thing, is that you're still running a business to help people find a shelter and help, and you're giving back. So for all the realtors that are out there, that for my realtors, this is huge what you just said, because this is what's really happening out there. So all the Rexdale agents, all our other agents out there, you heard Frank, and he runs a great business, but it is, the times have changed, but it's all sensitive as far as some of this COVID stuff, but business still continues. Can't just sit at home and hibernate and do nothing. And
invest in yourself. There's a lot of books, a lot of information, and but don't just sit around and do nothing or sulk. Do something positive every day, and you'll feel better.
And I agree with you, Frank. Do you remember in 1989 when we had those major violent recessions, stuff like that? I remember all the agents cut back on their advertising, cut back on everything else, and then agents like yourself and everybody else, you decided, no, business has still got to go. I'm going to advertise, but I'm going to do it in now in a sensitive way. And that's the mindset that we all have to have, right? Get back, work on your CRM, polish your skills, don't hibernate, don't sit at home. It is not a vacation. And you'll see that slowly, small upticks. Talk to your manager and you'll start seeing how it's starting to move. But thanks a lot from all our agents.
My pleasure.
And that was
Just remember one thing, one last thought. This is not about us. It's about the people. Do you think that there are people out there that need help? Well, if you think they don't, I don't know where you're living because they need help. So help them.
Help it. And like what we've done is we've taken some initiatives like where we've given back. We said thank you to our frontline people. There's nothing wrong with, as realtors, letting other people know that you're doing that. Like give back to the community. So there's a couple of few of our agents, our realtors that are all doing that. And that's brilliant. That's amazing. But because like you said, it's giving back at a time of need like this, right? So it's awesome.
All right, guys. Well, nice seeing everyone. Have a great day, and hope you guys have a productive day. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Frank.
So now we've got Maury. Maury, I'm going to unmute you. We're going to do a mortgage update from TD Canada Trust.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me. So basically I shared all the mortgage information with you last week, but this week I have a small update. So TD is now letting us use Canada Child Benefit Income. Previously we couldn't use that, but now if clients have children under age of 13, we can now use that income and help them with their mortgage application. I also have some information on the $40,000 loan. I'm not sure if you guys are interested. But
for small business?
The $40,000 business loan, yes, that the government is giving. So basically it's interest-free until December 31st. Businesses can apply for it. It doesn't need any personal guarantee or adjudication. It just gets approved as long as they qualify for it. So they need to have $50,000 on payroll per year, $50,000 to $1 million to get qualified for it. The good thing about it is that if they return the loan by December 31st, 2020, 10% of the loan is it's eligible for forgiveness. So 25% is 10,000. If they return the loan by the end of the year, they can only return 30,000, and the other 10,000 is just free money for them. If they can return it by then, it would have an interest rate of 5% per year, and they have to return it within 3 years. Yeah. So it's a good deal. If people can get it and return it by then, it's good. If they can't get it, then it's bad.
Yeah, I think that only applies to people who have business accounts.
Yeah, that doesn't apply to realtors like our realtors. So yeah, so like we want to know what you can what applies for our realtors, like to help. Like that's for businesses, like Charles said. Like
yes. So for realtors, if realtors want to apply for mortgages, we treat realtors as self-employed clients. We use average of last 2 years income. So if you're not having much income right now, it doesn't affect your application because all we use is last 2 years. So that's good news for you guys. Other people, the mortgage qualification policy is still the same. We do want to see that people are still making money. If someone lost their job due to COVID-19 temporary, it might be harder for them to get the mortgage because we need to prove a recent income confirmation. So we need to have a pay stub or bank account statement showing direct deposit. And if clients are temporarily out of job, they don't have that. Unfortunately, we can't help them. I am aware that people are getting the curve, the 500 weekly income supplement from the government. If that $500 is enough to get the mortgage, we can ask our underwriters to make an exception and use that income. So it's getting reviewed case by case. Other than that, if people are self-employed and they're not working, we would review it case by case again. So if a dentist is not working right now, we will review last 2 years' income and we make an exception based on the full scenario to give them the mortgage.
Can I ask a question, Charles?
Yeah.
If TD has approved the mortgage and then the buyer gets laid off, will that mortgage still close? Like once you've given that approval?
Yes. If TD approved the mortgage and we verified all the income, we don't ask questions anymore. Like it's approved, we verified the documents, that's it, it's a done deal.
Thank you.
So
No.
Maury, I do get a lot of questions from people on behalf of their clients. Some of them have applied to have their mortgages deferred, and they were asking whether that deferral was going to affect their credit.
No.
Not at
There's
all?
no credit check. It's not gonna affect their credit, no. It's just that they have to, the money that they hadn't paid is gonna get amortized. It's gonna be added on the rest of the mortgage, and it's gonna be amortized through the remaining years of amortization on the mortgage. So they're gonna end up paying interest on it later on, more interest on the interest.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm allowing people to unmute their microphones. So we're going back to our regular mastermind format here. Does anybody want to unmute themselves and speak?
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Oleg.
I was actually on a meeting yesterday, and they had a number of financial companies on the call. So with respect to the approvals that's been handled, I think what we were told is that the banks are doing it one-on-one. I guess the biggest thing that they're looking for is to see if the person is able to, if there's opportunity for them to recoup the income. So even if they lost a job, what they're looking for is how easily they can gain the income back again. So as long as there's opportunity, they will continue forward. But it is still, they have the ability to pull back if they see that there's no, what do you call it?
It's not a permanent layoff.
Right. I guess what they're looking for is they're looking for how quickly can they get back on the market and how quickly they can gain their income back, how well their job is marketable.
Well, this goes back to what I was originally asked Maury about the pre-qualifications are a little bit tougher now, from what I understand, even though people say they're not. If you've been laid off for 2 or 3 months, the ratios don't line up anymore for the first year of your mortgage. Your pre-qualification income has gone down. So I don't know how banks can still, maintain those ratios on the approval.
Well, there's a couple of things. There's the banks, which is the A banks, and then also there's the B banks, because the private lending or the B banks, they're also relooking how they're relending. My understanding is that, and we had the underwriters on a call yesterday, their comment is they're not looking to pull the market back. I mean, they're in the business of lending, so they don't want to create a panic on the market. So they will continue lending, and they will do everything possible to lend, but they still need to protect themselves. So as long as they can see that the people have the ability to make the payments or they have the ability to, restore their income potential, then they'll continue with the deal. But if they feel that it's going to take the person a year or more to find a job, they have the ability to pull back on the lending. And the more you get into the personal financing, it seems to be the more of a Wild West you're getting into.
Yeah, Charles, I agree with that also. Like put it this way, they've injected so much money into our system, being our federal government and provincial government and the whole world, that the banks are not out there right now to destroy or hurt you from getting a mortgage. So if you got laid off and you had a previous job, and then you're going to go back to work in 2-3 months, they're going to factor that all in, and they're there to keep this economy going. Because if they weren't there doing that, then we'd have so many deals closing. And as you know, at Remax West, majority of all our deals have all closed, which is unbelievable. So that's a good thing. What I'm curious to know from Maury is, what are the 5-year mortgage rates at and the best variable rate at?
Yeah, so 5 years mortgages are around 2.8 to 2.9. At TD, it's a little bit different. The mortgage rates depends on the amortization, the property location, and the volume of the mortgage, but something around 2.8 to 2.9. Variable is around 2.5. It's much lower, so a lot of my clients are getting the variable rate right now. The good thing about the variable interest rate is that they can turn it into a fixed rate at any time that they want. So let's say if a client has a 3-year variable, they can turn it into a 3, 4, or 5-year fixed. If they have a 5-year variable, they can turn it into a 5-year fixed without any penalties. So it is a good time to get variable interest rate, especially with the prime rate going down. The interest rate might be even lower next month or next year. So yeah, it's a better option right now. I recommend variable over fixed rate.
So what kind of interest rates are you seeing out there on the variable?
2.5.
2.5?
Yes.
And what about fixed? See a
2.8.
fixed 5-year.
2.8.
Yes.
2.8
to 2.9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So still, which is still reasonable. Like, who's never seen these type of rates again? Have you seen, Maury, in the last week, a little bit of an uptick? A little bit, like, have you gotten a little bit more busier from realtors?
It's been the same for me. I've been doing a lot of refinances. Realtors are still taking their clients out there and they're shopping around. I've seen a couple of my clients that I had the pre-approvals for them and they said they want to wait. But I do have other clients that are looking for properties right now. I'm waiting for them to put an offer on the property and finalize their mortgage. So it hasn't changed last week. It's been the same.
So Maury, Tamer's got a question. I guess this goes back to a couple of videos ago when the banks first announced that they would do the deferrals. His question is how does the bank handle the interest that's being deferred? Have they recalculated the interest rate based upon the deferral, or how are they amortizing it?
Yes. So when you defer the monthly payment, the principal portion is just not going to get paid. The interest portion is going to get added on top of the mortgage. So after 6 months, they add that 6 months interest that you didn't pay to the remaining of your mortgage, and they re-amortize it over the remaining amortization left on the mortgage.
So is that a percentage calculation?
Based on the interest rate that they have at the moment. So if they have a variable rate at, I don't know, 2%, it's going to get amortized and they pay 2% on it. If they have a fixed rate of 3%, they're going to pay 3% interest on top of the interest that they didn't pay for 6 months.
So if they use do they use the previous interest rate that they were currently paying, or do they recalculate it at the current interest rate?
No, previous one.
The previous, okay.
Yes,
So
whatever they have on the term at the moment.
So Charles, look at it this way. You owe mortgage payments for 2-3 months, they get deferred. So you're on a 25-year amortization. So just look at it as that you have to pay your principal, which is whatever, $300, which is nothing because they charge more interest. And then at the end of your term of your mortgage, it'll be 25 years, and they're going to blend the extra 3 months that you haven't paid. So that's how they're going to figure it out. So this way, like, they've all sized this all up, and it's a pretty good program, right? If you're stuck for money, right? The one thing I did learn here, because I've been doing this for over 30 years, is that if you haven't put $10,000 away for rainy days, like for stuff like this that's going to happen in the next 20 years, that's something that you may all want, because you'd be surprised how many realtors seriously have the best cars, the best homes, the best everything else, and then have absolutely no cash in their account, right? So got to always make sure money management, you put some money aside, because you know what, for unforeseen things, and it can be a recession, it can be anything else that comes up. It's unbelievable. Even a line of credit, small line of credit, like you asked Maury to set it all up, you don't even have to use it. You just leave it there for times when you may have to tap in.
Right. So Tamer's asking the question, does it just get added to the end of the term or at the end of the 6 months? I'm not exactly sure what he means by that, but the way I understand it is, if let's say you have 18 months left on your current mortgage, right? By adopting this program, you just added 6 months, right, to that 18-month mortgage. Now you've got 24 months, right?
No, it doesn't get added to the term. It gets added to the entire mortgage and the entire amortization, not the term.
Not the term. So how do you defer? So how do you, So you're deferring the principal. You still owe the principal, don't you?
Yeah, so let's say you owe $250,000, and every month when you make the payments, that $250,000 is supposed to shrink because a portion of your monthly payment is principal. So it's not going to shrink, it's going to remain the same, and it's going to actually get bigger because the interest portions that you didn't pay for 6 months is going to get added to that $250,000. And then after 6 months, they change the payments they kind of add it to the amortization. Let's say it's a 25 years amortization or 30 years amortization, they add it to that, not to the remaining term, because if they do that, it's going to be quite pricey. So let's say if someone has 6 months left to the term, they have to make double the payments. It can be too much for them. So they add it to the amortization, not the term.
Got it.
Charles, I'm gonna have to jump into another Zoom meeting at 11. So I just want to it was great, Charles, putting this together for both your office and our office in Rexdale. So thank you so much. And
Thank you, Mike.
and then we'll all be in touch. Guys, have a safe week, safe weekend going out there, and let's all be positive because it was great. This is all positive. But thanks again, Charles. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I forgot to welcome all the Rexdale agents onto this call. So for those of us who are regulars on this particular meeting, we had a whole bunch of Rexdale agents join in with us today. So
Yeah.
thanks for them for joining.
Yeah, no problem. I just so that you know that we may be doing a Zoom. We are going to be doing a Zoom call Thursday at 2, and we're going to get Christopher Alexander on, CEO of Remax Integra. So I'll give you all the particular later on, and then you can maybe get it out to some of your agents who want to participate, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Thanks. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye. So just to share a little story with you guys before we end this meeting, I booked some appointments to try to show some condos on Friday. I just found out that One Bloor East, they're not allowing real estate agents in. So I can't even book an appointment. However, I did talk to the listing agent, nice guy from Sotheby's, and he was kind enough to say, you know what, if my clients are serious enough, and my clients are serious, he would arrange for the landlord to take us in rather than as real estate agents, but as guests, which they can't deny. So where there's a will to do showings, guys, there is a way. I also, in booking some other appointments, it is really hard being a showing agent right now. I've really come to realize how difficult it is just to get confirmations to book these appointments, because one building allows showings, another building doesn't. Even though the building allows it, if it's a tenanted property, getting permission from the tenants is a chore. Even vacant properties in buildings that it's a vacant property, but because the security people will not allow real estate agents in, I can't show it. It's all over the map, guys. So for those of you who are actually trying to get out there and trying to do your job, I now know the obstacles that are ahead of me. So I have to prove to the listing agents and to their sellers I've got enough PPE, masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, wipes, whatever it might be, in addition to what they're going to provide, just so when I go to show this property, that it's going to be in the same, if not better condition than when I left. So for those of you who are booking appointments or trying to book appointments for your clients, yes, this is the new norm. This is the new reality. It is really, really hard to get confirmations. And if you do get a confirmation, be ready. Make sure that your clients are protected. Make sure that you're protecting the property. Okay?
Charles,
Yeah.
I have a listing in downtown yesterday. Buyer agent called me from concierge and he said they don't allow us to go there and the property is vacant.
Yep.
Is there anything we can do?
Well, like I said, I had to negotiate with the listing agent and their the seller for the seller to actually personally escort me in. I'm not checking in with the concierge. They have a key fob, right?
No, I put the key in the stairs.
Yeah, good luck.
And
That
they
ain't gonna
don't
work.
accept keys. Front desk does not accept keys.
Exactly. So if a landlord, right, can physically enter their own property and bring whoever they want, as long as they're exercising the the physical distancing parameters, which is the bylaw. So you can't have more than 5 people. And if you do have more than 5 people and you're not related, you all have to remain 2 meters apart. So he can open the door for you. Hopefully he can prop that door open for you and you can walk in with your clients, but you all have to stay 2 meters from each other.
Okay, thanks.
But that's only the landlord or the seller themselves letting you in. These concierges, these security people, if they've been directed by the condominium corporation not to allow showings, you're not getting in.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, there's a number of buildings, Sonia. 11 Bogart is one. I know that 110 Bloor is another one. 1 Bloor East, that's another one. There's a huge list.
Charles,
Yeah.
can I say something?
Yeah.
So regarding the key situation, what this previous Frank said, what he can do is have the lockbox with a fob placed elsewhere, and the showing agents can go there as guests, don't check in with concierge, and that's how I've been showing. Pick up the keys elsewhere, walking with your client as if you live there, and it shouldn't be a problem. And that's what we did.
So act like you own it.
That's correct. There you go.
I know, but in this situation, if concierge asks, who are you? Where are you going?
They won't. If you're walking confidently, just walk right in. You have a fob. Are they going to ask every owner that says, who are you? No, they won't.
You know, Frank, I've been in this situation, and you know, a lot of the time these people have absolutely no idea who you are. But
exactly, you just walk in.
Unless you got a cowboy sitting behind that desk and he comes down and he tackles you in the lobby, you know, we're trying to be creative here, guys. There are creative methods in trying to get these, trying to get this business done. So I just spoke very nicely to the Sotheby's agent and said, look, you know, I've got a very serious buyer. They're a cash buyer, and they're not comfortable in putting in a condition on seeing the property after you accept their offer. So I'm going out on Friday. I'll be in the area. If you can arrange a showing with your seller, please do so. The other building that I'm showing at Yonge and Bloor, it's 8 Park. The building is allowing showings, but it's tenanted. And what's ironic is these tenants are actually university students, and they're doing online classes as well as online exams right now. So they're denying appointments because they don't want to be disturbed. Obviously, if they're in the middle of an online exam, they're not going to want people taking a look at that unit that's for sale. So I had to negotiate with them a time and with the tenant as to when they wouldn't be in the unit, and they wouldn't be studying, and they wouldn't be online trying to do their exams. And then when they were out, I got that confirmation to go into that particular building. So these are the kind of things that are happening out there in the field, guys.
Charles, just a quick thought. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Real estate's been deemed an essential service by our government. So how are corporations and security boards and different people allowed to?
They don't care.
Whether they care or not, it's been deemed an essential service. So it's like saying the grocery store is essential, but the doors to the grocery store are locked.
So the condominium corporation under the Condominium Act supersedes our job.
That answers that.
So on the Remax Integra broker owner and management call, one of the owners is actually a lawyer himself, and he explained to the group exactly how the Condominium Act supersedes this. Just like, you know, pets. Pets are essential, right? But they're not allowed in condos if the condo says no.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So we can only work within the parameters that we've been given, but being creative and being cooperative and talking to listing agents like I did with this guy from Sotheby's. And, you know, he wanted a little bit of information about my clients. I know, I get it. I'm not supposed to talk about my clients' motivations. So I called my clients and said, you know, what do you want me to tell this guy to get this showing? And they're like, Charles, you know, we'll leave it in your capable hands. So, you know, I let him know I've got a cash buyer, right? These people have cash. They don't need a mortgage, right? And they're interested in your unit. Can you make this happen? He goes, you know what? You're my daddy. So he was just like, I'm going to make it happen. I'm like, thank you. So these are the kind of, if you talk, if you negotiate, we're salespeople, guys. It's what we do. We talk. We get paid to talk. not paid to hide behind screens and text messages and emails, right? Talk to people, for God's sakes. And it's amazing what can happen when you have a physical conversation with people. It's absolutely amazing, right? Sanjeev has a question about freehold property sales picking up now and in the future. You know what, Sanjeev, for those people who really know me, I am a freehold guy. I totally believe in freehold. I think condominiums are kind of the canary of our industry. When they do really well, yeah, things are great. But when things go south, the first thing to suffer are usually condos. So when it comes to freehold, because let's be honest, people live in freehold much longer than they typically live in condominiums, and it's a much more long-term investment. And I just find that it's a lot more blue chip in our industry. Okay, great. Any other questions, or anybody want to jump in? You can unmute yourself and jump right on if you like. Yogesh, sorry, Yogesh had his mic unmuted. Did you want to say something, Yogesh?
No, I'm okay.
You're okay? Okay.
So far, so good.
I got Carla up in the top right-hand corner of my screen here. You're unmuted.
Yes. Oh, thank you. I just wanted to let you know about Scotiabank has changed their guidelines about the rental properties. Now they are not able to take HELOC as a down payment. They want clients to have 20% down. And if they want to use on top of that money from the HELOC and the deal makes sense, now they do it. I'm not sure if other lenders are going to follow, but usually once one bank starts, the other ones follow. So just for you guys.
So you're telling me if someone's trying to buy a property, they have a home equity line of credit on their existing property?
So I did ask the question because I have a situation where my clients want to take their rental equity from their home and buy a primary residence. That's still allowed. It's only when the client wants to buy a rental property from your current home. So you want to take all the equity from the primary home or other rentals to buy another rental property. That's when the problem starts.
But the home equity line of credit is technically open, so they could close it and get around that, couldn't they?
The down payment is coming from the HELOC.
Yeah. It's when the
only for the rental properties, Charles, only for the rental properties, not for the owner occupied.
Yeah, but so if I'm an investor, I own my residence. I want to buy a rental property because, hey, I just saw something I just saw a fourplex come up on MLS and I really want to buy it. I want to take I want to take the $250,000 HELOC that I got on my primary residence and I want to put that towards the rental property. Now you're telling me I can't.
When you buy a rental property, you cannot use with the Scotiabank the HELOC. However, if you have 20% in cash and on top of that 20%, you want to put more funds from your HELOC, you are allowed to do that. But you cannot do it from HELOC or gifted funds. This only applies for rental properties when you are buying a rental property.
So then that's only for Scotiabank. So other banks are allowing it. That's only and only for Scotiabank, nothing else.
Yeah.
So Maury, does TD allow it?
Yeah.
We're still doing it. Are you saying that Scotia doesn't let you do that?
Yes.
I just wanted to share that just because, things are changing and sometimes when one banks do something, the other ones follow. So just for you guys to have this information.
Thank you for sharing that. But I know that Scotia is very strict with the programs. Like, let's say they don't have the non-resident program and the new to Canada program. They don't have that anymore.
No, they do.
Yeah, but it's not as good.
It's actually pretty funny that you say that because I got a decline from TD and Scotia actually approved it for a new to Canada. It really depends. It's not
Was it new to Canada?
all type of thing, but yeah, it's interesting how every single bank have different programs.
Yes.
And not everybody works under the same programs, especially when it comes to insure products.
Yes. Was it new to Canada or non-resident?
It was new to Canada, and they also have the non-resident. Maybe at some point they didn't have it, but they do have it.
Okay, I heard it's not as good, but yes, really, it's case by case. But in terms of using a home equity line of credit as a down payment for a rental property, TDs is still allowing clients to do that. We'll see if they're gonna change that in the future.
Got it.
Hopefully not.
So anyways, I just wanted to wrap this up because we've exceeded our time by about 10 minutes, but I will say this, the market is going to open back up eventually. And I'm really looking forward to this. And one of the things I'm really looking forward to is having donuts with you all again. I really miss going to Tim Hortons and buying those dozens of donuts and Timbits and sitting there with a coffee with you all around the table. So hopefully, and Louisa, when you bring in the Santorini's donuts, that's even an extra special treat once in a while that we get. So let's look forward to sitting around a table and having donuts again, guys. Okay. And don't forget, same time, same place next week on Wednesday, same link for next week's mastermind. I look forward to seeing you all there, guys.
Okay.
Thank
you.